discuss the Word of God this morning. How many of you know that it's all right to talk about God? How many know it's just all right to have a little conversation about Him? Today's lesson is going to come out of Genesis 8:13 through 22 total. And it's going to be entitled, Noah Builds an Altar. He builds an altar. But before Noah built the altar, it's going to talk about some different things. In the 600th year of Noah's life, Noah was a young man. In the 600th year of Noah's life. And on the 17th day of the second month, on that day the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of heaven were opened, 12, and rained and fell for 40 days and 40 nights. You know, I was looking at that, and, when Noah first started, and it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, but after the rain stopped, they were on the ark for a year. They were on the ark for a year. Some of y'all already know I'd have already had major problems. You in an ark with all of them animals, and I don't know what kind of sanitation system they have, but I know God had a sanitation system that worked just well. And whatever He had in place allowed them to be there with all those animals, to be comfortable, stay that time, and you didn't hear nowhere in the Bible where no one was lost, an animal died, or nothing. You didn't hear because it was in God's plan. And when God orchestrates the plan and you follow what He's given to you, then the plan is always going to work out because that's His will. Like I said, Noah was 601 years old when the earth was dry from the flood. Noah was 601. And Noah removed the covering of the ark at that time. And when Noah removed the covering, he saw the ground was mostly dry. Some people are impatient. Really impatient. You've been cooped up a year and a month on a boat with a bunch of animals, just you and your family and their wives. You've been cooped up on a boat for a year and you saw dry land. You're going to be ready, Sister Marsh, you'll be ready to run out right then. I got to get out of here. I've been cooped up. But God is giving instructions to Noah, so obedience is still better than sacrifice. So Noah remained obedient and waited on God to tell him what to do. He was waiting on God to command him to what? Come out. Sometimes we're in situations we leave too quick. We get out too quick. Sometimes God have us going through something and we jump ship and switch and go do something else, get another job. And God said, if you had just stayed here a little while longer to see the full plan that I had in store for you, you would have found out that in the end, it worked out on your behalf. But sometimes we get in a hurry. But I'm so glad Noah didn't get in no kind of a hurry. He waited on God's instruction. And then God said, come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Now all y'all can come out now. Bring your wives with you. We talk about obedience. From the beginning, Noah was obedient. He got his sons and his wives, and guess what? They were obedient to Noah's instructions from God. As the father, the Bible says, honor your what? Your mother. That's the first what? Commandment with what? Promise. So Noah's kids were what? Obedient. When he said, let's go get on the ark, what did they do? They got on the ark. Oh, Dad, we looked at you build this thing for all this time. That thing ain't going to float. But we always have to remember who the architect is. When God is the architect and when he put the building together, the building not going to tear up. The building not going to fall apart just because it's in the ocean. It's going to stay intact because that's God's will. And then he told them to bring every kind of living creature that is with you, the birds and the animals and all creatures that move along the ground. Y'all wonder what happened to the spiders? They didn't get drowned. Grasshoppers, they didn't get drowned. Nothing. The bees, all of them were in the what? In the ark. And God said, now you can bring them what? All out. You can bring them all out. Because in God's plan, in order for the world to be replenished before he destroyed it, then God had already made preparations for the replenishing of the earth to make sure that it goes back just like it was from the creation. Y'all do know that God destroyed everything before this. Mankind walking and creatures and all that stuff. No, God destroyed it. But now he's in the process of replenishing the earth. So Noah came out with his sons and his wives and their wives. And the animals and all the animals that move along the ground and all the birds, everything that moved on the land came out of the ark, one kind after another. They even had order coming out of the ark. They had some order. We can dismiss church and say, let the elderly go first. Let them eat first because they might have some health issues. And you'll find somebody run right up in front of them. Out of order. Can't follow orders. Can't find the order. The giraffe wasn't trying to run over the kangaroo. They all waited their time to do what? Come out. Because it's from what? Order. It ought to be some order in your house. It ought to be some order in this house. It ought to be some order in everything that you do. You ought to have some type of what? Order. And at least know how to follow instructions. When we get fired off a job, can't follow orders. Know everything. And they came out, all of their kind. Then Noah was instructed to build an altar to the Lord. When I see some of y'all now got a problem. Because God wanted to use good sacrifice, pure. Well, it wasn't that many on Noah. Y'all have been trying to pick the one to use for the sacrifice. And I was talking to my wife this morning and we were saying like, well, sometimes you look, well, wasn't that many, but over a year, I'm quite sure it was some multiplication that went on inside the ark. So that Noah would have plenty to pick from in order to be able to do the offering to God. That he would have plenty to pick from. Noah built the altar, taking some of the clean animals and clean birds. He sacrificed burnt offerings on it. Clean animals, clean birds. You ever been hunting? You ever been hunting? Anybody that been hunting? And you kill something? You kill an animal? And when you skin it and you look at it and it's got spots on it or it got maybe got some, in the country, you know about that. You go kill a rabbit, after you clean it, you look to see that ain't nothing wrong. They haven't got no kind of diseases or anything. So God's saying, no, you got to bring the best of the best for the sacrifice. How often do we give God the best of the best? want to give him the leftover. It's kind of like giving to charity. We want to give everybody what we don't want. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because sometimes you have too much and you just need to give. But sometimes you could bless somebody with something better. You just choose what? Not to do it. Sometimes you can give somebody the best that'll be a blessing to them, that in return that God will allow them to bless somebody what? Somebody else. You will need every one of them. But grace says, slay them, for they belong to God, for God gives his own. The sacrifice and the right heart of Moses made is possible. So we might have said just the opposite, but God's grace was on Moses to do what was right. Because Moses knew that God's grace was sufficient. That if God said it, then let you do it. How many of you grew up with your parents when they said something? It wasn't optional. Now my wife and sister-in-law were there when they didn't get whooping when they were coming up. They didn't do that. But the word on the street, some of them got beatings. I cleared it up. Some of them got beatings. Yeah, they didn't get whooping. Some of them got beatings. But when they were obedient, when you're obedient, there's no need for you to be disciplined. When you're obedient to God, God doesn't have to what? Discipline you. He just doesn't have to do it. And then, in verse 21, the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart. And when Noah did the sacrifice, God smelled the pleasing aroma in his heart. One of the writers said, because of Moses, because of his heart, and the aroma, because his heart was pleasing to God. Everything, the aroma and everything was good, and God smelled that aroma. And then when God smelled that aroma, from that right there was pleasing, that Moses has done everything that he was asking him to do. Noah, I keep saying Moses. I don't know why I got Moses on my mind. Noah done everything that he asked him absolutely to do. Then God made a pledge or a promise to Moses, or a told Moses that, why am I doing it? I guess there's too many of them old folks up in that Bible, and I got to get them mixed up today. Never again, he said, I will curse the ground because of humans. In other words, what God is saying, because y'all messing up, because you were hard-headed, thick-skulled, knuckleheads, I did this, and I destroyed everything. He said, but I'm not going to let I will never let that happen again. And he told Noah, he told Noah that this is my pledge to you. This won't happen. I'm not going to let y'all get me so mad no more that I'm going to destroy the earth in this way. Have you ever had your kids, they do something, and you done punishment one time before, and then you come back and say, I'm not going, y'all can't get me this mad no more. Or y'all getting me jailhouse mad. I can't let y'all get me this mad no more. Because of humans, even though every inclination of the human heart is evil from childhood, God is still saying, I know y'all still going to be evil. I know you're still going to be messed up, throwed off the chain, and all of that. But I also provided you a way that when you're doing all this, that you can come back to me. Provided you a way that you can come back to me. As long as the earth endures seed time and harvest. Sister Marcia and them grew up like we did in the country. See, seed time is planting time. And as long as the earth endures seed time As long as the garden gonna have to be planted. As long as it's gonna have to be harvest. God said, I'm not gonna allow this to happen anymore. And he pledged to Noah that he was not gonna allow that to happen. Regardless of the cold, the heat, doesn't matter if it's summer or winter, day or night, will never cease. He said, this is not going to happen. If it get 110, God's still not finna end the world like he did before. Be 120, you just be hot till he cool it off. If it's 20 below, you just freeze till he warm it back up. But he said, I'm not going to let it get so cold. I'm not going to let it get so hot. I'm not going to let it rain so much that I will destroy the land like I destroyed it before. He said, that's not going to happen, nor that is my promise to you and the people, that I will never, never do it again. Now, we make some never-nevers. We go right back and do it. We promise. How many of you ever broke a promise? Everybody broke a promise? Guess who don't break promises? God. If he say he gonna do it, what is he gonna do? He gonna do it. Might not be on your time, but it be on his time. God said to Moses, I've established my covenant with you, never again will all life be destroyed by the waters of the flood. Never again. This is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you. And ever make this covenant just between man and woman, he made it between what? Every living creature. The birds ain't got to worry about it no more. The deer don't have to worry about it no more. See, because when it floods, and the land is covered, where the deer gonna go? Where the animals gonna go? Only somebody didn't have to go with a fish. Well, if you think, what? You didn't hear an account of the fish being in the ark. They were the only ones. Because the land was destroyed by what? Water. Who in the water? The fish. So they didn't have to go through the rebirth. They didn't have to go through the repopulation. Because what? They were in the water. They were in the water. But everything else had to. I've set my rainbow in the clouds. When you look at and it rains and you see that beautiful rainbow, God gave himself a reminder that never ever will I do that again. And in conclusion, learn to wait on God and act according to his will. Amen.